good physical shape, to be able to do what the Lord would have us do, because the Lord did not, if you're a child of God, you're not to be sitting, you're not just to sit on the seat and be a bench warmer. You have things to do, that He's going to use your life. And next question is, can you live without a vision? I think some people do. I think, to see if you fit in this, do you feel you're just making it through the day? You're just breathing in and breathing out, you feel that you have no real purpose, or at least not that matters to anyone else? Feeling disgusted with yourself, or not seeming to get a sense of direction? That everything seems hopeless? That, have you ever been there in your life? I've been there a few times. I sure have. And so, and usually those places, you don't know where you're headed or what you're doing. You're just making it through the day, and so, and I realize I'm missing a lot of stuff here. As church, we have a responsibility. When we see people like that, we have a responsibility to go to those people, to work with those people, to help these people, to get past this and see the vision for their life, to see, where what they're worth to us and to themselves. So what would you do about if you feel like that you have a vision? What can you do about doing something about that? How can you go about? What would be your first steps to taking care of that, looking forward? Well, in Matthew 7:7, it says, "Ask, and it will be given you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and it will be open unto you." Right? Amen. Okay. And that wasn't the end of it. It said, and here's the promise from that. It says, "For everyone who asks receives, and he who seeks finds, and to him who knocks it will be opened." These are things of action. These are things that you're to do. You're not just loud here and say, "God, here I am. Come fix me." These are things of action. And so you're going to have to work with those two in order to go forward. The first thing you have to do, let's break this down a little bit. The first thing you have to do is you have to pursue God. And so the first thing was ask. And so does that mean to ask for lots of money and a new automobile, stuff like that, new house? No, it doesn't mean to ask for that. Ask that God would give you wisdom and reveal to you direction. Seek to use your gifts, and knock. Ask God to open up opportunities for you and give you courage to pursue the love, trust, and to pursue with love, trust, and tenacity. How do you ask, seek, and knock? How would you go about doing that? You start with prayer. Would you agree? That you start with prayer to God when you do it. Okay. Back to visions. Where do visions come from? God give us visions. Okay. Is a daydream a vision? Does anybody ever daydream? Sure, we all daydream. The Webster says that a daydream is pleasant thoughts about your life or future that you have while you are awake. And so, there's something, about daydreams, and sometimes we think about things. And how many of you know who Dak Prescott is? Everybody knows who Dak Prescott is. He's the rookie quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. Okay. From what I understand, and Dak's done very well, and seems to be an outstanding young man, And from everything that I understand is that from the time he was small, his dream was to be a Dallas Cowboy. That's what he wanted to be. And so he went on. I think he went to, where did he go, to Missouri or Mississippi or something, Mississippi, I think, and played ball. And his mother was his biggest fan. But during that time, his mother come down with colon cancer and passed away. And so Dak went on, and he had a dream to be a Dallas Cowboy, and it didn't look like there was much hope for him. But through some real unusual circumstances, he ended up there on the team, and now has ended up the quarterback, And so, but he seems to be. I see the team. I see a change in that team through his, because he seems to be a good minister to the team there. He seems to be a Christian young man, and he's doing a lot of good things. And so, but the point I'm wanting to make here is he had a vision there to do that, for one thing. But the other thing is, the other important thing about that is when, am I ringing to y'all? Okay, I think I'm ringing a little bit too much. But it's when he's going to be through with football one of these days. And so my prayer is that God will take all this, and will use him to further his kingdom, And so this is where I want to go with everybody here tonight. I want you to realize that you may not be a Dak Prescott, but you were made in the image of God. You're one of God's children, and it doesn't make any difference about your particular athletic abilities or whatever. God uniquely made you for a purpose. But you need to use that purpose. You need to use that purpose. You don't need to feel like that you're just, everybody else out here is so much better or so much higher or whatever, so much more knowledgeable. You need to be able to use what the Lord has given you, whatever that is. And here's what's going to happen when that happens. And here, I'm off track again, so here we go. No telling what'll happen, so don't hold it against me. David Maker, I'm going to use David. He's not here, so he can't defend himself. David Maker is a very good electrician. He's a master electrician. David, and I used to be, I had an electrical business for a long time, and David went to work for me when he was young, right out of high school. And David come along, and he worked, and in fact, we have a going joke. It'd be a hot summer day, and he may see me, or we may be talking on the phone or something, and he'll say, "I hate you." That's for getting him in that business and being as hot as it is and everything. And of course, David's a fireman, and that's his primary business, But David made a real good electrician. In fact, through the years that I had an electrical business, there was actually 3 guys that went on to make master electricians and form their own business. Now, is that something that I need to get a pat on the back for? No. These guys were working, but they pursued the talents that God gave them. And when they started out, they was awful. I mean, they was a chore. But they pursued it, and they put in lots of work. And David put in a lot of work on being where he is at now. And David, I'm sure he's going to have people under him that he's going to trade. If I need some electrical work done now, I call David. I don't want to do it anymore unless it's something very simple. And so, but anyway, and so I want you to use that and as just an example of that you have talents. And to form a vision, you need to use those talents. As you use those talents, and talents is not the right word, the gifts is the right word. That's the biblical word for it. As you use those gifts, then you're going to start developing a vision. And I think that's very important for the church. It's important for you personally. It's important for you spiritually. And it's important for this church. And so all of you, there's nobody left out. Everybody has their talent. Yours may not be the same as mine, but everybody has one. See, now I've done forgot where I was at. Whew, time's going fast. All right, let's look at something. Let's look at something in the Bible. Let's kind of look. Would you agree with me that when you do something, when you start using your talents, your gifts, do you agree that there's going to be challenges that happen to you? There's absolutely going to be challenges, and there's not going to be. There's not going to be. I mean, you're going to have them. You can't grow without them. And I left out something here that I really wanted to put into. And Brother Welton, I'm going to use you here for just a minute. And many of the church members and many of the future members, they do not know Brother Wilton. Things have changed some since we're here. So many people don't know him very well yet. And I tell you, as he gets settled in and gets his family here, I'm sure that will begin to change. That he will get around to learning all about all of you as much as possible. But the Lord has given Brother Wilton a huge responsibility and a large vision. Now, with that vision, he can't do everything by himself. He's got to have people that are willing to get in there, elbow to elbow, and let's go to work. Let's go to doing the things. And we've got a little video here, and I hope it spurs you here in a little bit, that we're going to look at. But we're going to go to work because we have an obligation to get the word of Jesus Christ out to this whole community. We're obligated to do that. Christ is holding us responsible to do that. And amongst that, we're going to help people too. We help hurting people. We do a lot of different things. We teach kids, teach youth. There's all kinds of stuff. And making relationships and friendships and just loving people. That's a big thing, And it's something that you have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to get a little uncomfortable, to do all this and put forth some effort to that. But you know what? Once that happens, there's blessings. There's blessings that come. And there's also challenges, And everybody wants to be in on the blessing. But nobody really wants to be in on the challenge. But you know what? Without challenges, there can be no spiritual growth. Would you agree with that? None. Okay. I want to go over to, and I say I put down way too much stuff here, but I want to go over to Nehemiah. I want to talk about, and I'm just going to do some reading here. And some of these names I'm not going to be able to pronounce, and I'm going to use. I have some footnotes in my Bible that I'm going to read that can explain it better than I could try to put it all together and to tell you. So I'm just going to tell you. And this is in the book of Nehemiah, and it's going to be through the first chapter through the sixth chapter when they were talking about when I'll just go through some of it. The children of Israel, they'd been in exile, and they were back. They had, through a chain of events, they had put them back into, they let them come back to Jerusalem. But the wall was tore down. They were very unsecure there and everything. And so here's what the people, let me read, in Nehemiah 1, let me just read a little bit of this here. And it says, the word of Nehemiah, the son of, and I'm not going to be able to say these words, but the son of Hachaliah, it came to pass in the month of Chislev in the 20th year, as I was in Shushan, the citadel, that Hanani, one of the brethren, came with men from Judea and asked them, according to the Jews, who had escaped and who had survived the captivity and concerning Jerusalem. And they said, the survivors who are left from the captivity and the providence are there in great distress and reproach. The wall of Jerusalem is also broken down, and the gates are burned with fire. So it was here that I heard these words, and I sat down and wept, and this is Nehemiah talking, and mourned for many days. I was fasting and praying before the God of heaven, and I said, pray, Lord God of heaven, O great awesome God, you who keep your covenant and mercy with those who love you and observe your commandment. Please let your ear be attentive, your eyes open, and that you may hear the prayer of your servants, which I pray before you. You now, day and night, for the children of Israel, your servants, and confessed the sins of the children of Israel, which have sinned against you. And so that was Nehemiah's prayer. And so now I'm going to go to some footnotes here, and I said, here were some of the complaints, and this is kind of in modern day deal. And see if you can relate with this. What this church needs is, I can't believe our government officials. If I were there, I would, whatever. Our schools are really in bad shape. Someone ought to do something. Gripers, complainers, self-proclaimed prophets, and armchair quarterbacks abound. It is easy to analyze, scrutinize, and talk about all the problems in the world, but we really need people who will not just discuss the situation, but will do something about it. Nehemiah saw a problem and was distressed. Instead of complaining or wallowing in self-pity and grief, he took action. Nehemiah knew that God wanted him to motivate the Jews to rebuild Jerusalem's walls. So he left a responsible position in the Persian government to do what God wanted. Nehemiah knew God could use his talents to get the job done. For the moment he arrived in Jerusalem, everyone knew who was in charge. He organized, managed, supervised, encouraged, met opposition, confronted injustice, and kept going until the walls were built. Nehemiah was a man of action. And so this will do you good, and I'm not going to have time, to read about Nehemiah. But Nehemiah, he had a vision. That was the first thing. He had a vision, and he was going to bring the people together to help with the building this wall. Next thing was prayer. And he responded to the problem with prayer. And I think you've heard Brother Wilson talk about that, how about prayer, how we're needing to get back to prayer, serious prayer, right here, right now, And so this is where Nehemiah went. He went to prayer. Okay, Nehemiah demonstrated excellent leadership. He was spiritually ready to heed God's call. And so, and then there was problems. I mean, there was all kinds of problems that faced him. And so he just, there's just going to be challenges. There's challenges in life, especially if you step out in a leadership role, you're going to get all kinds of challenges, And so you just have to rely on God to handle those things, And so Last it says, although God had enabled them to build the wall, and so they did build the wall, the work wasn't complete until the people rebuilt their lives spiritually. And so, so we get there somewhere, I mean, we may be saved, but we're needing to get back. Needing to get back to God. We need to work on our spiritual life, what we're really supposed to do. Now, folks, like I'm telling you, I'm talking to myself here tonight too, But I just, the Lord put this on me. Like I said, I was struggling with it myself, but through this study, it has been encouraging, And so that's sometimes what happens. Even though as you work on stuff and as you're challenged to do things and you have to get in there and you have to dig a little bit, well then the Lord speaks with you, and sometimes you may get more out of it than anybody else does. A couple of key verses in here that I just want to bring to your attention. In Nehemiah 4:1, it says, so we built the wall. The entire wall was joined together up to the half its height, for the people had a mind to work. So, do we have a mind to work? And so over in the Nehemiah 6 and 7, so the wall was finished on the 25th day of Yule in 52 days. And it happened when all our enemies heard of it, and all the nations around us saw these things, that they were disheartened in their own eyes, for they were perceived that this work was done by our God. And so that's who's going to do the work. God's going to do the work. He's going to use us. Okay, we're at 7:30 here. I had a whole bunch of other stuff here. I really didn't get into this where I wanted to get, but that's okay. I want us to look. Chris, was you able to get that video? You think, okay, we're good. And so I want to look at this. And this is a video about a church's vision. Not our church, just a church's vision. And they're still in the vision process here. This is a promotional video that they had made. And the thing I want you to understand about this church, and he will tell you this in there, but just to kind of reiterate it, went from 35 people to 1,000 people in just not a real long period of time. And so as you look at this and you think things might be impossible for us, for what God will do, well, it's not, and we don't know in churches and buildings and all that kind of stuff and nice things, and used to I think, well, why do you need church so nice, But you kind of read back through the Bible, and the temple wasn't exactly a sleazy place, there's lots of gold and stuff in there, it was pretty fancy place. And you said, well, God lived there. Well, don't God live here? Don't he come here, And so, you have to kind of, just decipher some different things, but the building is not it, but it's the people that's in the building, that's who makes the building, but the building is a tool. The building is a tool to reach lost souls, and that's what we're after. Chris.
I love my church because my church is such a fun place. Our church, when I first went in there, you walked in and it's so friendly. Everyone is welcome and it's really an inviting place.
We have finally found a church where I truly believe that the true will of God is being sought. It is often said that Lifeline is not a perfect church, but it is a perfect church for my family.
It's blessed me in so many ways. It's brought me closer to God. It's made me a stronger person individually.
The biggest reason why Lifeline is growing is it has vision. You know, a lot of people will see things with their eyes, but vision comes from the heart. And vision, by definition, is being able to see something in the future that doesn't exist yet. We have direction, and that's what vision gives you. So it's very exciting, and we get to be able to be a part of that.
God is moving, we're really excited for what God is doing here at Lifeline Heart of Worship. Back in 2002, 2003, we began a church in Rio Grande City where Lifeline started, and God spoke to us very clearly, and on March 1st of 2009, He said it was time to move that church to Harlingen, where we started with 35 people here and have literally grown exponentially to thousands each Sunday. We're really excited for what God is doing and for what He's gonna do. Today, we're gonna make the vision even more clear. Come with me as we take a look at the future of Lifeline Heart of Worship.
Here we are at 2909 East Grimes Street in East Arlington, the home for our new permanent worship center. We're building the vision so that we can have a place to call our own. This 45,000 square foot facility will be an inviting and up-to-date frontage for our church to the community. Nobody is doing things quite like Lifeline, and this will be a great step for our growing church. As you enter the commons area, you will notice an expanded space for fellowship time before and after services. There will be a cafe and seating areas for enjoying a hot cup of coffee. Also there, you'll find secure check-in areas for your children as they enter their own space. Just inside the children's area, you find an exciting worship space with plenty of seating for our growing kids program. There will also be a multi-purpose gymnasium for basketball, volleyball, and other events that can be partitioned from the children's worship space. Without a doubt, our kids will have the ideal environment for learning about Christ and having fun at church with their friends and family. Finally, check out our new worship center. In here, you will find modern design features, comfortable seating, and the best in lighting and sound. We are excited about the future and doing greater things to reach our community in a fresh new way here at Lifeline Heart of Worship.
Isn't it exciting to see what the future holds for Lifeline Heart of Worship? Lives are being changed, our community is being impacted, and we are just getting started. So we want you to connect with us. We want you to join us as we continue to move forward towards the vision that God has placed in this church. You may be wondering, how can I help? What can I do? First of all, we ask you to pray. Pray for this church. Pray for us. Pray for this ministry. We need your prayers. Number two, you say, what else can I do? Listen to God's voice. What is He asking you to do? Everyone has a special gift and a special ability. We need your help. Number three, finances. We know we don't like to talk about it, but the truth is without it, we can't move forward. But if we come together, one person can't do everything, but together we can do it all and make this vision come to fruition. So come with me and let's make this vision a reality. Now is the time to step out in faith. And now is the time to build a vision here at Lifeline Heart of Worship.
I am so excited about the new church. I think it's amazing, awesome.
We've outgrown where we're at, and there's so many souls that we can touch and bring in. We just need a bigger facility.
I find it a privilege to be a part of this vision, to be giving to this vision, this building that we are building, this beautiful building that we're building.
There's only one word in the language that has the word success in it, and that is succession. So we should be able to look at people in our community and say, here's our next group of people to carry on our vision of Lifeline.
All right, now don't go out and say the elders want to build a new church, because that's not what that's about. It's for you to, how big is your vision? I guess that's the question. How big is your vision? You say, Sulphur Springs, Texas, nothing like that is even possible in Sulphur Springs, Texas. We can't even hold 1,000 people. Sure, we can hold 1,000 people. We got Saturday night service, we got Sunday morning service, we got 2 Sunday morning services. Yeah, we can hold 1,000 people. Yeah, they're, and I don't know much about this church. I just thought that was pretty interesting that they're of their vision there on it, and they don't have that building built. That's what they do with technology. That building's not built yet, that this is what they're working towards. But it's pretty remarkable. But anyway, but what does the Lord have in store for us? It may not be that, but it's something. It's more than now. So, what is your part going to be in that? What part are you going to play in that as the Lord blesses and as we proceed forward in doing His work? Folks, the time is short. How many people are you inviting to church? And I have to ask myself. We should be filling this church up on Sunday morning. It's time to start filling it up. It's time to start getting people in here. It's time for us to go to work. That's just it. And that's what the Lord's put on my heart tonight. And just examine yourself. See where you're at. Okay.